Well, let's get going with the next panel discussion. Well, they say a decade ago, digital payments were an alternative option today, but they are now becoming default. And tomorrow, they'll be defining as the winners and the leaders of financial ecosystem. So what began the journey as a convenience right now has evolved into a race of digital leadership. Yes, a race where success is no longer measured by the number of branches a bank operates, but by the number of digital interaction it enables. Well, a race where speed, security, innovation, customer experience have become a competitive differentiators. Now, there is a transformation more visible in India that's happening. Today, I think India also stands as a global benchmark when it comes to digital payment. UPI interface, recently we got to know that have achieved a historic milestone, processing more than 23.2 billion transactions, worthly near 30 lakh crore in just one single month. I mean, the highest you could ever think. So I think this represents trust, this represent inclusion, and these are just not the numbers, but they represent more than transformation in digital economy. Now, they represent a nation where the race is no longer going cashless. The race is about who leads the next era of the payments. And that's what brings me to the topic, digital payment, the race for digital leadership. We have a phenomenal set of panel who shall be joining us. So first and foremost, I'd like to call upon the panelist Himanshu Mishra, EVP Corporate, Head CMS API Banking, ESG and Alliance, Fino Payment Bank. Can we have a huge round of applause and welcome Mr. Himanshu Mishra on the stage. Also, I'll request kindly sit according to the screen so that the entire audience can connect. Well, the panel will be joined by Mr. Abin Mathew, VP Head Fraud Risk and Strategy, SBM Bank, India. Can we have a huge round of applause and welcome Mr. Mathew on the stage. Next joining the panel is Mohan Narayankar, DGM, Channel and Payment System, IDBI Bank. Joining us is Mr. Suresh Lalwani, Head Sales, Trade, Forex and CMS CSB Bank. Can we have a huge round of applause and welcome everyone? Come on. Joining the panel is Manish Kumar, SVP and Head Liability and Alliance, Baas, Digital Ecosystem, HDFC Bank. A huge round of applause, everybody, for Mr. Kumar. And to navigate this panel is Mr. Avik Chaudhary, Head Digital Strategy, New Initiatives and Digital Credit Products, Unity Small Finance Bank. Can we have a huge round of applause and welcome all of them on stage, please. Over to you, Mr. Chaudhary. Thank you so much for joining in.
Thank you so much. Good morning to everyone. I think it's now afternoon. We are reaching that time. A very warm welcome to the entire panel. I think I will just sort of try to kick in right in. A general question first to all of you, right? I think we have become the world's most leading and advanced player in terms of real-time payments, right? This is 2026. What do you think in the next, say, 4 to 5 years, by 2030, a leadership in the digital payments would look like, both for India as well as, you can say, for banks? A general question to all of you.
I can start. A small disclaimer to start with, as whatever I'm going to say would be my individual opinion and may or may not be of my institution. Disclaimer. So 5 years from now, 4 years from now, the scale, what we have already seen, the ease of payment, the kind of the development which are happening on the speech-based transaction, the face auth is already there in market. So that scale, what we have already seen. What I believe is now is the seamless integration, the embedded transaction, where the scale, along with the scale, trust would be the main key factor which is going to come, as the way the human and the technology, that both the race which is on, who the tech is moving much faster than the human behavior, the humans, and hence how can we ensure that their interest is being safeguarded is the next phase of growth which would be there, according to me.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So, as we should be proud of this industry, and we are part of this industry, that India is one of the digital leader when we talk about UPI. Okay, when Madam was telling about the number of transactions we are doing, it's phenomenal. Okay, none of the countries in the world are doing such type of transactions. So, first thing is that we should be proud of it. Second thing, when he's talking about 3 years to 5 years, which I think the benchmark is changing now. Now we are not talking about domestic landmarks, okay? Now we have to talk about cross-border, like how the Forex business can change. So I think the next leader in digital world will be someone who is able to coordinate embedded systems, something of that sort, where we can do some cross-border transactions. Because that's the $1 million business, and I think that's the untapped market as of now. So if I talk about 3 to 5 years, I think that is the type of business which fintechs, banks, and other partners can look for. And that is a business, I think, that should definitely grow in next few years.
I think that's a great point. Manish, Mohan.
Hello. Yeah. From the payment perspective, if you see from the cash transaction, we moved slowly to the real-time transaction. Considering you see the lockdown period, during the lockdown period, we were working, we were doing the transaction on cash base. Our honest Prime Minister Narendra Modi, recommended us to just go with the real-time payment, which is virtually as of now. It is a virtual payment only. But if you see the industry practice, just within 5 years, it has been completely moved out of cashless. Very frequently, very rare people go in the ATM, only once the salary credit. Okay. Another thing, I just want to give the update on the point where we become by 2030. The leaders on the, the transaction side, the payment side, people started adopting the AI-based services to the virtual money. He will become the leader in the 2030. Considering I'm talking about not the AI. AI is not like that to detect the fraud or do some pattern basis analysis and give the responses. But considering the AI on the payment platform, considering the AI on the payment platform, it has to do the, the wealth management, monetize the money, exactly, how it's happening. The UPI is already expanded in the India, now expanding in the Asia side as well. And added to the AI-based services, will decide who will become the leaders all over the globe. This is my input. Thank you.
Manish.
Yeah. I think you will see there are 4 different key stakeholders in the payment segment. There will be users, there are the bank, and there will be a merchant, and there will be a different kind of segment like MSME and this. And they all have their own challenges, ask, and aspiration in terms of becoming more digital. While the key will always remain, but the way that the entire ecosystem is evolving, I believe it is moving from speed to intelligence. So it is no more about the real-time, the payment executions. It is more about how well we can synchronize with the entire ecosystems, and if this ecosystem is talking and transacting. Where plumbing to platform is one thing which is coming, this, as the bank, brings lots of trust, the balance sheet size, customer base, but the way technical service providers, fintechs, and they are coming and providing a solution to a particular, segment and disrupting it, combining them as a solution for one segment, and then, I keep interacting with lots of fintech across the globe, and there is one company I met, and they are trying to solve a payment system where they will be. It might not be feasible from the India perspective while we have the UPI journey and this. They were trying to solve some things. They will have a token and things where the crypto and all things will be given one credit and you can do. And we have seen in the Revolt and others, what they have done in the London and those kind of the segment. So as a leadership, the vision is very clear that we do not want to compromise on the security safety. We wanted a speed. We wanted a right intelligence. And at the same time, the owners of the customer, because they are the one, or the entire value chain player who wanted to execute this transaction on a platform. Yeah.
I think they have actually started on a very good note. I mean, discussing how digital payment should be, right? But if you look at the market right now, the industry right now, innovation is the talk of the town. Innovation with AI has superseded that conversation and how technical we are going and how easy we are making things for people. But I think the leader tomorrow who will take the business ahead should be the one with who will innovate with responsibility, with security added to the factor. Because many a times what we see is that innovation is done, but then the beta testers of those innovation are the fraudsters, right? They come up with a lot of ways how we can go ahead and disrupt the market, and they are the ones who tell the companies that this is the loophole. I mean, that's the fact that we see. So risk will take time to understand, because it needs data to understand where these kind of challenges are coming. So I think the innovation with responsibility and security of that product will be the leader of tomorrow's market.
Thank you so much. And picking up from what all of you said, right? My view and another next question is, this is again something that which all of you can chip in, is the relevance of payments for banks. And in this ecosystem, when we have seen UPI has emerged as one of the largest, as a transformation, right, in India, in the payments ecosystem, what is the next innovation that we are looking at? What is it that can bring about a similar transformation? What is after UPI? And how do banks find relevance for payments within its own ecosystem? Why do banks need it? Himanshu.
Yeah, fantastic. So the scale, what is the next which would come is, see, on UPI is most of the banks are not making money because of no MDR. This is a transactional business which is there. This brings a lot of ease to us as a consumer, but for the banks, it's cost only. Now, the next move where the banks can make money is how can we have this at subscription level, the ease, the embedded finance, the contextual lending. So the kind of information what we are having by way of UPI, where the cash is getting eliminated from the specific user class, not all of us, but a specific user class, the middle class, where the transaction patterns are getting recorded in system. Their behavior is getting recorded in system basis their use of UPI or their cards or their banking transaction. And basis that, if we can, the next phase we can have because consumer finance is already, it's been scaled up, but embedded finance is one thing where there's a huge scope which is still there, where bank can build a so-called system where they can read the behavior of the customer, and at the context level, at the time of transaction, if the embedded finance which can be integrated.
Yeah, as we see, these are the convenience product for the customer, which is equally important for any bank. But the way we see this, the kind of the volume which has started happening, UPI is a case 0.9 till, the 3.4 trillions and this, the kind of insights which we get from the customers, our risk appetite and understanding about the clientele for their retail asset and other requirement becomes much, much easy. And what the bank have started doing now recently is, that, it is a customer who can go to any platforms, So we do lots of data room exercise just to understand the digital footprint, basis our understanding about the customer and how they are behaving while doing this transaction on the platforms. So I think if you'll see anyone who is digitalizing, they're either strengthening the processes or this where the cost initial cost will be high, and few will be on the second phase where they have started monetizing with these digital transformations, and there will be the banks and other stakeholders who have already in the reimagine stage. When we are talking about banking as a service, platform as a service, insurance as a service. So it is about like reimagining where your cost of acquisition will ultimately. So most of the things are very derived things if you'll start doing these things. So yeah, that's the perspective.
Great. Suresh.
So when you're talking about innovation, and I think still people are only talking about domestic created transaction innovations, I'll keep it to my point as that there's a trillions of dollar moving from outside India coming to India. Okay, there's a huge business opportunity. I think people or the fintech companies or the partners or the platforms which we are talking about should look at innovating those transactions now. If today also, if you want to do a trade finance transaction, there's a heaps, mountain of papers which a customer has to submit. And digitization is not creating a PDF or just sending an email or where the documents are being scanned and getting the transactions done. That is not a digital banking we are talking about. We are talking about a transaction where a customer is giving an order in US or UK. Bank can understand how that product is working, what is the industry dynamics, how that customer whom the order is coming, what is the rating of that customer. And they can understand this 30, 60, 90 days of credit period. And they can give, like we say, 1 minute loan. There is one financial company which is giving a 1 minute loan as of now. So something of that sort, loan or some trade finance product can be put in where an exporter or an importer can also get a funding, immediate funding. As of now, like people are talking about AI, if today you go to a bank and wants to do a trade finance, you have to give hundreds of documents and then it takes months to give you a limit. Okay, but if AI has to be so innovative, or you can say these products has to be so innovative that looking at the balance sheet, looking at the current market scenario, looking at the product, looking at the parties' behavior approach, they can give a loan for a transaction basis where he can do that transaction immediately. Like in UPI, if you go scan and QR and you can do the transaction, but if you want to do a FCY transaction today, you can't do that. Why? This is the money. It is money only. Because as of now, we are just limiting ourselves that we are proud that UPI has done. We are doing so many transactions, 150 crore country, doing a domestic transaction, the volume will increase. But why we are not concentrating on exporter-importer is something which we have to look about. And answering to your question, innovation is there only. Money is there, income is there, everything is available. But only thing, someone has to take an idea and do it.
Thanks. I think from there, I will take a cue from there and move to Abin. Do you think the pace of innovation, right, is outpacing our ability to manage the risks that come with it?
That's, I believe, the conversation that is happening in the boardroom also right now. Because innovation is something, which definitely has taken the lead. Okay, risk factors are following it, which I mentioned in my opening note as well. So innovation, as it goes ahead, risk factors have to be embedded with it as the innovation happens. But today what is happening is that we have left it open for the designers or the product makers to go ahead and design something. Then once the product is almost ready, it comes to the risk or the compliance team for their approval. That's the approach today, right? So where we go ahead and give certain inputs, factors, but it's almost a timeline is given for that innovation to happen, and I mean, it's already there in the books yet to be released. But what happens is, in case, if you know about the factor, or rather, which is the truth of the room, is that many a times when a product goes live, there are certain things noted in the books as open risk, right? So these open risks can be covered while innovation is done and the risks are looked at that point of time. We leave it as open risk because we don't have time to go back, correct that mistakes or that kind of open risk that is there, which we could have probably done earlier because of the deadlines, a lot of business pressure and all those things. So innovation is outpacing, but with AI coming in, with agentic AIs coming in, I mean, these gaps are getting covered, right? Risk is also taking a step ahead, but we need to see how fast this can be done.
Thanks. So, and very interesting few points that you mentioned. Mohan, I think you can cover a bit more on how AI, right, and how we are using that, how we can leverage that further for mitigating the risks, the frauds, right, which come along with it, and what do you think will be the role of AI in the overall payments ecosystem going forward?
If I talk about the AI, which is the artificial intelligence, which is, the shadow for the human work, the whatever manual activity as of now we are doing, take an example of the customer onboarding. Customer onboarding start with, the physical form and other stuff. That can be automated. Even one of the major important of the AI in the current industry, current era, is to identify the risk in the lending business. You see, considering the lending business in the AI platform, while the institution want to lend some money to the customers, it has to identify, the customers, who is the customers, how he is spending, how is financial statement or his Form 16 can be scanned together and validate and consolidate. How it can be, these are the things which can be automated basis on the customer expenditure. It can be, basis on the customer expenditure. It can be identify that the customer behavior, customer pattern, and the customer expenses. And currently we are using some utility tools. Always we have to go for the the CIBIL. We can skip the CIBIL considering when we are lending the point. CIBIL can using the AI we can construct the parallel industry for the CIBIL based on the customer behavior, based on the payment history, how he is utilizing his fund. Is he become defaulter for the payment? Say example, the EMI, when he do the billing, he do the mobile banking, he recharge his mobile. Is he missed? Is he taking the 5 days, 6 days later? The person is not doing his mobile recharge on the time, so he may be not capable to pay the EMI on time. These are some analytics which can be using AI, artificial intelligence. We can figure it out, the customer behavior and pattern. These are the various, there are a lot of things, the fraud detections is there. Then we can utilize some generative AI. There are a couple of machine learning models available in the market, which, current startup using for getting their work done. There are supervised and supervised learning. Lot of thousands, millions of the, models available, which we can integrate as a part of the AI, and we can identify the behavior of the customer based on the available data, which is structured, unstructured data. We can automate a lot of tasks, which is, using the generative AI and the agentic AI, using the latest tech framework is available, Llama Index and other stuff, which can definitely give the input before, moving ahead with the risk factor.
So, following up on that, what do you think is the biggest vulnerability at the moment in the payments ecosystem? What is that one single point you think that, where all banks or you can say the entire ecosystem should work upon to fix? I mean, Abin, anyone you want to take it up?
Security side, Abin?
That one risk factor and how we can sort of work towards it. Not from just a technology perspective, right? I'm not just coming from tech perspective. I'm more coming from the perspective of, a trust or, security in that way.
Yeah, so see, right now the vulnerability that is there in the market, or rather in the innovation, is where we are going towards payments like autonomous payments, right? So that is something that is going to happen, or people have started working towards it. Now the thing is where these autonomous payments will end up, right? How do you map your AI with those autonomous payments, whether you will be able to track that if the payments are correctly being done, right? Where is the control? Will the control be completely given to AI to take care of the payment, or will there be a human control still be left? Right, so that's the factor that needs to be looked in. Even the RBI framework says that if you're doing a transaction, or rather if you're declining a transaction, there has to be something called explainability. That is part of the AI framework which RBI has given. So you have to ensure that if you're declining a transaction, for example, why are you declining a transaction? You cannot leave it to AI. You cannot say that your model gave you that risk score and that's the reason the transaction was declined. You have to ensure that a human factor is there. A human is there to control it or to take that decision whether to block the account, freeze the transaction, because you might end up declining a genuine transaction of a customer who might be in an emergency. He might even go to the BO, right? At this juncture of my emergency, my transaction was declined, which is my own money. I was not given access to my own money. So these autonomous payments, when it comes in, we have a lot of risk to be taken care of by ensuring that human in the loop factor is there. It's not left completely to the system to take a decision, and ensure that these payments, customers feel that I can trust on these kind of tech that is being provided by the banks.
Thank you. So picking up from that, right, when you spoke about customer and the customer experience, so see, I think payments are becoming more and more invisible, right, for all of us. How do you think, now that we are at a point where we are looking at such a scale in payments and the customer experience, what do you think is the next, point where we can sort of touch upon in terms of customer experience? What more is the customer expecting in terms of his payments? And where are we taking it? Anyone, Himanshu? More.
Anyway, so invisible, there's a two part of this. One, there are financial institutions, the age-old banking systems which are there. And second are the fintech players who are working on the same space without the banking license. So one small example is, we used to have in India the business correspondence. There's a unit there who are playing a very, very important role on the financial inclusion, where the banks used to have their own BCs. So, for example, SBI is having 10,000 BCs, or PNB is having 5,000 BC. The numbers may vary, but I'm just trying to set the context that there used to be a model where banks are having BCs, because the capex and opex with the branches is very huge. To reach till last mile, and especially in the tier 4, 5, 6, they used to have BC. And then the fintech came into the picture, where they said, why to have BC for one particular bank? Why can't we have a BC who can serve for all the banks? And that's how this started, a model where the banking correspondents which are there all across India, those are in lakhs and lakhs, who are serving all the bank's customer, right? So the brand is not making any value which is there at the front of that BC, whether that BC belongs to State Bank of India, Punjab National Bank, ICICI Bank, Fino Payments Bank, whatever it is. So what I'm trying to say is that the bank has to decide whether they want to control the customer directly, or they can play their role with their system, which offers more trust in the market, resilience in the market, and they can contribute more by having a invisible play at the back end, where they are supporting all the fintech players to go more aggressive in the markets, while they ensure the transaction safety, security, whereas the agility can come with the help of more players in the market who can offer banking till last mile.
Manish.
Yeah, so I think there are two perspectives. One is like, I'll take an example of our bank. So we created a Pays app platform, 2.0. This is bank's own platform where customer can do most of the transactions. And then we have exposed this to the merchant and this. So we know that in terms of the compliance, security, and all, whatever things, permutation, combination, as we can think of, we have tested. This is the customer insight and this. One thing is working on. Then at the same time, we are ready to evaluate the various TSPs who are doing good, the various fintechs who are working on certain segment and this, and creating a middleware from where we can start and doing and seeing this experiment without compromising on the kind of the compliance and the security, data privacy, which needs to be done. So these things might take time, but at the same time, since the world is already moved on those directions, the bank has started doing and exploring these kind of the partnership also.
So when we are talking about customer experience, I think speed and convenience is the minimum which we can give it to the customer as of now, which UPI is offering, as anyway everyone is talking about. So this is given. Now what the best we can give it to the customer is the trust, is the security. Okay, I think everyone would have booked a Uber, Ola, and now we have been talking about driverless car. Suppose tomorrow you get an Uber option where you get a driverless car but a brakeless car. Okay, a car which can run at 200 kilometers per hour speed, but there is no brake in that. Will you accept it? Will you buy if it is even at a 50-60% discount? I don't think so anyone will buy it. So when we are talking about speed, it should come with proper security, come with proper trust. And the brands are created by trust. And when we are talking about customer experience in the digital world, I think trust and security is becoming a more important factor now. Because speed is given by everyone. Every fintech company comes and say, we can do this, we can do that transaction, or any payment, even a banks. Now we are going to the customer and saying, we can do transactions in 3 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours. But are we able to give that comfort to the customer that tomorrow if the payment is going, it is going to the right people, or it is the right process? Because then banking has come, there are regulatory guidelines also. There are other factors also. So I think when we are talking about customer experience and we are talking about digital leadership, I think digital will not limit it to the speed. Digital will not limit it to the convenience. It will be smart security, where AI can come into picture, where some other factors can come into picture. Like artificial intelligence can come into and say, boss, 99% of your transactions can be error-free, frictionless. A customer putting up a click of a button and he's able to do the transaction. Where that we have to give that convenience to the customer with a proper security. That is what I understand from a customer service point of view.
Just to add on to this, I just have one question to the entire room. When we are talking about security, how many of y'all in your UPI transaction must have ever done a P2P collect money transaction or a receive money transaction in your lifetime? Have anyone done it? See, that's the part of innovation, right? I mean, imagine how much of frauds have happened because of that P2P collect money transactions. I mean, and after how many years did we stop it? It took us almost 8 years, 8 to 9 years for that innovation to be stopped or to be cancelled, right? Now it's only P2M, no more P2P collect money transactions. So this is where I said that beta testers are the fraudsters. They used it, they ensured that people get money. I mean, that feature was exclusively for the fraudsters, I believe, because they made huge money out of it. And when it stopped, I think that's where these kind of frauds also stopped. I mean, you go to OLX, you army persons calling, as an army person calling and doing the transaction. So this is where you say your innovation has to be along with security, which everyone was trying to say, right? So that's when the trust will be built. Tomorrow, the leaders, again, as I said, will be the ones who build a product, maybe slow, but where the customers can trust upon it.
Just one quick point. And also, as I said, the customer insight is very important, because whether the market, whether the ecosystem, whether all the stakeholders are ready for this kind of innovation or not. UBS has done a very good research in terms of identifying why they will choose the platform and the bank. And one of the key factors still was coming is they believe in the brick and mortars. So whatever transactions at bank they choose, they still sees, okay, within 2-3 kilometer vicinity, the bank or that the company presence is there or not. So, yeah.
So I think one of the things in payments is that to look for some of the areas where we can find opportunities. I think consumer payments is somewhere which is which is what most banks, fintechs, and everyone focus on. But what about cross-border payments? I mean, what is the opportunity over there? And is there anything which is you think which is coming up, which we should work upon, something that has not been touched yet, as the next big area for opportunity?
Anyway, so he's already very pro on the cross-border opportunities, which he's pushing since beginning. But see, last week only, there is a additional circular from the regulator where there were certain line items which were allowed for 82, whereas they have added few of the product lines from 81 as well to be given to 82. So these are the transaction level difference between 81 and 82, where the large banks are having 81 license, where they can do a trade-led transaction, where the retail remittances are being done through 82 licenses. So the kind of structure and the kind of area or the scope of fraud which is there on cross-border transactions, there's a lot of restrictions which are there from the regulator. But on the same time, the way we are moving ahead with the help of technology, the AI, the ML-based solutions, I do believe there is a huge scope where these transactions can also be a seamless without the documents in place, which is the basic requirement, where the OSV and all other elements which are still there. When it comes to 82, which 81, 82 is still not there. But yes, a lot of scope which are there, which can be worked upon through the help of the new tech which is there with the help of AI and MLs, where we can make all these platforms more easy to help the customer, especially the small-time exposers. They are facing a huge time while dealing with the banks on 81 especially.
So as he already told, this is a topic near to my heart. Okay, I've been into this business for almost 20 years now. So I've seen the time when a SWIFT transaction used to take 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. Now it is 24 hours to 48 hours, depending on the country which we are doing. And when we are talking about technology, when we are talking about fintech, this is the opportunity area, untapped area, which I think still people have not taken it because of regulatory reasons, because of lot of frauds. One fraud can be into $1 million. Okay, that is how it is. These transactions are like that. But I think if he's talking about the opportunity, like a single transaction where we can include a custom document, tax document, shipping document, can be tagged together, embedded system can be there, some FX related system can be added into our ecosystem, where customer can go, book a rate, do a transaction, get a SWIFT and move out. If we can get to that speed on this transaction, I'm telling you, India can become a global leader in foreign currency transactions also. And we have the capacity to do it. The only thing is that, like he was saying, like as of now, it is an easy kill that domestic transactions are increasing because the population is there. Indians are very happy to do that 5 rupees, 10 rupees transaction, and the numbers of transaction are increasing. But still, there are a lot of scope which can do it. Banks can make good money, fintechs can make good money. The only thing is that risk which has to be taken up because it's a regulatory. The challenges is that there is a currency is there is a regulation in different countries is there is a time zone also. In US and India, the timings are different. So if we take each and every point, as of now, some fintechs are doing that. There's a fintech who will talk about FX conversion, they can do seamlessly. There's a fintech company who will say, okay, I can get it EDPMS, IDPMS resolved immediately. But there's no one which is talking about from a customer perspective where customer can do a transaction on a click of a button, which is currently being done for RTGS, NEFT, IMPS. Though UPI has started with some of the countries, like 7, 8 countries where we have started doing UPI foreign currency transactions also. But still, I feel when I'm sitting with a customer, he's not comfortable doing that transaction. He's not, that secured feature is not coming into his mind the way he does a UPI transaction in a domestic So I think there's a huge opportunity. There's an innovation is required. And I think if a banker and a fintech company can come together, I think this can be a game changer in next 3 to 5 years. This is from my side.
I want to take 1 minute to share a very, very interesting incident which I had once. There was a ship coming from Singapore to India, along airport pe scrap hone ke liye. There was a company at US who was buying that scrap. So India, only that shipyard which was going to get used for scrapping the ship. There is no company which was registered in India. But because that transaction was happening in India, there was a law firm from India which was involved. So is transaction mein, there was no regulation which was there from RBI. A very plain vanilla transaction, Singapore से ship आ रहा है, US वाला खरीद रहा है, India का role क्या है? कोई company India में नहीं है. The law firm is there from India, that's it. So we had to intervene, we had to go to RBI, present the proposal. It took 3 days only with RBI. They allowed the transaction और 20-25 लाख हमारी बैंक के बन गए. But regulator is also seeing these opportunities, but there's a huge scope, yes.
Yeah, and coming to when you talk about regulations and compliance, right? I think that is one place where I think I would like to sort of ask even Mohan, right? That where do you think that, regulations and compliance can sort of eased up, or you think is something where we need to sort of focus more in terms of payments? What do you think are the vulnerabilities over there from a compliance and a regulatory perspective? Or is there something that we can also look at thinking about removing from experience perspective? I mean, happy to hear your thoughts on that.
From compliance and security perspective, I am the pure technical guy and work on the technological transformation. But be it from the payment side, from the compliance perspective, the lot of things are there. The regulatory compliances, if you see the RBI come and they go through the, any product, they go through the each and every details, considering the databases, application logs, and considering the, the configuration with the other application. They find out each and every bit of the, problem, which can be, exploitable to the, which can be, easily hackable, like the man-in-middle attack. Then you see the HTTPS is not been configured. There are so many things in the compliance perspective. This is the another. Then you go with the SEBI regulatories and those are the various the regulatory entities who keep eyes on the product, payment system product. And considering that, the security perspective, now the people started adopting. Earlier, what used to do, the people used to start doing the coding without any security concerns. Now the, DevSecOps pipeline have been introduced. During the development itself, the security perspective, all the concerns have been taken care under the DevSecOps. Once the DevSecOps is done, then there are the chances of the, the vulnerability exploitable very minimal. When we work with the CISO for the approval, so a lot of things, under the AppSec observation, there are a lot of AppSec observation come in. There are a lot of utility tools available who can hack the application. easily, which may be the PIN one or unpin application. So considering all this fact, considering this regulatory part and the compliance perspective, we should have the proper product which can take care to comply all these points while doing the development of the product. Thank you.
Manish, you wanted to?
Yeah, so I think this is very good. So I say like once the compliance is very clear, everything is start with this. So you don't need to reinvent anything first. And the time, when we started this, the department was new and those things. Lots of API and NM, many things was there. And it makes things more easy for you that you know that the boundary on which you need to operate. And at the same time, you get that, like the sir says, like, some opportunity comes. And we have a regulator with us, those we can present those cases and scenario. We can understand our market opportunity, how this will be more convenient to the customer. So I think it's my personal view. I enjoy those things because the boundary is very clear. Then you know where to operate, where not to operate. And if the opportunity is such, which will actually help you in the market size or the low cost of acquisition, many customer clientele base, then I think everything is logical. You go and present the case and get this approved or disapproved. Yeah.
To exactly focus on that point, you know the boundaries, right? But if all of us have gone through, I'm sure, gone through multiple circulars, right? Do you really think that there's a hard boundary or there is always some gray lines for us to interpret? I mean, that is where I believe that there's a risk of interpretation, right, in the compliance as well.
Yeah. So that I say, like the moment you identify a use case, okay, that you are going to do this, there is a inbuilt compliance which is associated to it. But the problem which, I believe, and I can vouch for everyone here, like those who are experiencing doing this kind of the integration and these things, everything is built where, you have probably 150 pages of addendum, while the case study which you are doing might require to be solved as a, 10-page things. So I think those things, so we treat ourselves as a fintech within the bank. And then you start thinking and started showcasing things. So I think things are changing. But at the same time, the bank, we have lots of responsibility towards customers, towards stakeholder and those things. So we'll take good time in understanding and complying this to the core.
So I think, I honestly believe that the regulator themselves are a little struggling right now. I mean, things are pretty hard for them as well. Right, if you look at the Master Direction 2024, which was there, it was a very beautifully written Master Direction, a lot of inputs for the banks and different companies that were there. But there were a lot of open points. As you said, there were a lot of gray areas. Right. So what the banks did is they wrote to IBA, and IBA in turn had a discussion with RBI, and then they came out with FAQs. RBI came out with FAQs with a clarification of the points which were put by banks. Regulation, where do RBI learn this from? It's all from all the banks. But again, they have to define the boundary. Certain times they might not be able to actually give you the answer because the things are changing on a daily basis. Things are changing fast. So even it's a tough point for RBI also to keep in touch with what is happening in the market, right? Second is, I believe, a global AI framework is something that is a need of the hour. Now, every country might have, some countries have their framework for AI, some countries do not have. But I think, like how you say for your AML, you have a global framework today. For your financial reporting, you have a global framework today that every country practices. I think in the similar manner for AI also, there should be a global framework because payments are cross-border, innovation is cross-border. So I think if the AI also becomes cross-border, a global framework would help.
I think time is over and people are talking to us. So I just take 10 more seconds on this. So when we're talking about compliance, compliance is like a gatekeeper, okay? They will always be on your side if you're on the right side. If you're on the wrong side, compliance and regulator is not with you. So that is how it is. So be on the right side, everyone will be on your side and you can do business in a better way. Thank you.
Thanks. I think then just, I hope you had a good session. I just wanted to thank all of you. It's been really fantastic.
Fabulous. I think, sorry, we are crucial on time, could not take questions. Anything you would like to sum up?
Yeah, and no, I think what we can take away as key takeaways, right, from this session is that I think AI is becoming more and more relevant to the banks. Cost of payments for banks, that banks are bearing for cost of payments, I think that is, I will no longer call it a cost, I will call it an investment for risk, right?
Yeah.
And experience, of course, continues to dominate the entire payments ecosystem and the customer expectations. And I think cross-border, like I think that Suresh really wants,
Very
right?
important.
The cross-border
Yeah.
becoming more and more important for all of us.
Yes.
And payments as a service and Baas ecosystem will continue to be the next big player in the payments ecosystem. Yeah, and security, of course, remains the overarching principle for all of this.
Surely, yes. Of course, the future
you.
of payments will not be just won by people or the banks who are simply moving money faster. It will belong to innovation, trust, and the value, how the speed of digital will determine that. Fabulous, understanding of this topic. Can we have a huge round of applause for the entire panel out here? Well, may I now call upon Shrikant KS, Head Pre-Sales and Partnership, Clayfin. Can we have you on the stage for the felicitation? Can we have a huge round of applause for the panel? Thank you, the panel, for joining us. Very, very glad, very privileged to listen to the key industry insights from some of the most fabulous leaders out here. May I now invite Himanshu Mishra, EVP Corporate, Head CMS, API Banking, ESG and Alliance, Fino Payment Bank. Can we have a huge round of applause, everyone? May I now call upon Abin Mathew, VP Head, Fraud Risk and Strategy, SBM Bank, India. Can we have a huge round of applause for Mr. Mathew, please? Great insights, very powerful conversations. May I now call upon Mohan Narayankar, DGM, Channel and Payment System, IDBI Bank. Please accept the memento from us, sir. Thank you so much for joining in. I may now request Suresh Lalwani, Head Sales, Trade Forex and CMS, CSB Bank to join us on the center stage. Thank you, sir. Once again, a great insights from you. May I now call upon Manish Kumar, SVP, Head Liability and Alliance, Baas Digital Ecosystem, HDFC Bank. Key insights from you as well, sir. And lastly, I'd like to call upon Avik Chaudhary, Head Digital Strategy, New Initiatives and Digital Credit Products, Unity Small Finance Bank. Thank you for navigating and setting the roadmap of the entire panel topic out here. Can we have a huge round of applause, everyone? I may also request for a group picture for everybody with the certificates, please. Also, Mr. Shrikant, I'll request you to join in for the group picture as well. Well, I'm sure in the race of digital leadership, technology may be the vehicle, but innovation will be the fuel, but trust also will be the one leading us towards the collective destination. Can we have a huge round of applause for the entire panelists out here?